Hi, and welcome to our first Scores Reporter tutorial. In this video, I am going to show you how to access Scores Reporter, log in, and how to enter a YPQA or school-aged PQA assessment into the system. The first thing that you're going to do is navigate to portal.cypq.org, and that will take you to this page. If you are your organization's administrator or an external assessor, you will have a username that is most likely your email and whatever password you set when your account was created. If you don't remember your password and you have an email as a username, you can click Forgot Password and it will walk you through the steps to reset it. If you are logging in with a site account, you will have a username that is a series of numbers like what you see on the screen and a password that's designated for the site. If you can't remember your site's password, contact your organization's administrator or email pqa@bgca.org and we can help you get your password set. So once you're on the site, enter in whatever username and password is right for your situation and press login. Once you are logged in, it will take you to this main landing page. You should see your organization or site name right here at the top, and you will be given access to these three sections. The one that we are going to be using is Scores Reporter all the way here on the left, so go ahead and click that. And that will take you to Scores Reporter's main homepage. So as you can see, there are a few different things you can do with this software. And like I said, today we are just going to be focusing on entering a program quality assessment into the system. So if we're using this for the first time, we're going to enter in our youth program quality assessment. You are going to click New Entry. You'll have two choices when you click this. The PQA is the one we're going to be working with now. That is your program quality assessment, whether or not it's school age or youth. Later on, after you have done your team-based planning and have used your data and taken a look at it, you will enter your program improvement plans here. But you can find that information in another video. So to enter your PQA, go ahead and click that. Then, depending on what your site uses, you might only have this youth program quality assessment or the school-age program quality assessment visible to you. You might have both, like you see on my homepage. Most of you are going to be using the youth PQA, so we're going to go ahead and click that. And then it's time to decide what site you are going to be entering the assessment for. So if you've logged in as a site account like I have, this job is really easy. All you have to do is select your one site and click Start Your Self PQA. You'll notice that if you are an organizational admin, you might have some drop-down options where you can select the sites underneath your organization. If you're an external assessor, you will have all of the sites that you have access to enter an assessment for, and you will be able to select whether or not you are submitting a self or external PQA. But for our purposes, we're going to go with our general self-assessment at our site level. So I've selected my site and I'm going to say Start Self PQA. The first thing it's going to do is giving me an overview of what I'm about to do, show me the categories I'll be entering in. This is really just a landing page. You can click Start Form. So if you are assessing virtual programming, you will notice that Scores Reporter now allows you to make amendments if you weren't able to see certain things because you were not there in person and you were observing virtually. But here we are on our main youth PQA landing page. So this is where we are actually going to be entering our data. It says this at the top, but a note, your form will automatically save every 45 seconds. So if you get pulled away by a parent or member while you're entering your assessment and come back, if you notice your computer's shut down, no fear. When you log back in, it will be stored in your saved assessments, and I will show you how to access that at the end. So the first thing that you have to do is answer all of your questions on that are the setup to your assessment. So what program you're assessing, what the staff name is, whether or not it was live and in person or virtual, etc. So I'm going to fast forward as I fill all this out for us. One note that I want to point out before I move through the rest of our setup is that you want to be sure on this first question to switch no to yes. And what this question is asking is whether or not you are going to be including your supporting evidence or anecdotes into your form submission rather than just entering the scores. It is highly recommended that you enter in your evidence for every item that you score in the PQA. And that is because when you or future staff are looking at your assessment results, you really want to be able to see why a particular score was given. What was the reason behind it? So always switch that no to a yes on this first question. Now that you've entered in your basic information, you can click next as I just did, and that will bring you to the start of your PQA scoring. So it is fairly straightforward. For each scale, it's labeled right here at the top. And the PQA starts with the safe environment domain, and the first scale is emotional safety. So within that, there are 2 items, and you'll see them labeled here. Item number 1 talks about positive emotional climate. Item number 2 talks about lack of bias. Those words are just little reminders of what you're measuring within that item, but always be sure to refer to your observational notes and your actual full tool for the descriptions of how to score. So I have my observation notes already done. I already know what score I'm giving. I filled out a hard copy of this just to make my input online easier. So I'm going to go through and input in this first page. And when I was assessing this program, I saw that there was no negative behavior or interaction at all, and folks were really getting along and having a good time. And so my evidence is climate is positive and supportive. Many youth are smiling and enjoying themselves. Staff is smiling and supporting youth throughout the program. And I'm going to go ahead and give that a 5. Next, for lack of bias, while I was there, I observed no bias whatsoever between the youth or the staff and youth. And so I am going to mark that a 5 and say no bias observed. So from here, I will go through and input everything for the safe environment domain, all the items, making sure that I write in my score and then add in my anecdotal evidence as to why I'm giving that score. I can go through and click next and jump around on this if I want to move between domains. If you have navigated forward but would like to check on what you put or make changes to something, maybe you made a mistake, you can go and click index. And that's going to bring you back to that main page where it'll give you a checklist if you've got everything entered and where you might need to go back. So I need to go all the way back to healthy environment. I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to click there. It's going to navigate me right to that scale and I can continue my work. So now this is my last page. I've finished typing in everything for each of the scales. I've given a score and supporting evidence for everything I entered. Now I can click next. And it's going to take me back to that main page where I entered in information on like basic info on who I was observing when, etc. I've checked, I've made sure that's okay. I've entered in everything I wanted to enter. Now I can go ahead and press submit form. So that is how you enter a youth program quality or school age program quality assessment, regardless of whether or not it is a self or external assessment. So now that you have entered a PQA, let's talk about what happens if you start to enter your assessment and you get caught up midway through, distracted, and you lose sight of what you're doing, your computer logs off, etc. If we navigate back to our homepage, you'll see that now our homepage has this little alert arrow over saved entry. And what that tells us is we have a PQA that hasn't been submitted yet. We even get a little reminder down here. If we want to go back and finish entering that PQA, we don't need to create an entire new one. We can just click saved entry. So it's going to give me a list of every entry I've submitted. I've got my main one. We just walked through that art program. But then I can see this one needs to be finished. So I can just click edit and view. And it will take me right back to where I was. I can see I didn't even finish that first scale, but here's my first score and my supporting evidence, and I can continue right along. If you are a site that has history of data, maybe you are an administrator looking across multiple sites and really have a lot of assessments, you can search for those forms here, and by the time they were submitted, the type, the site that they're from, and that will allow you to narrow down your results when you are looking to complete an assessment without having to go through and look. That's it for our first Scores Reporter tutorial. Continue watching our videos to find out how to create reports so you can view your data, how to export data so you can compare large numbers of assessments, and some of the other features of Scores Reporter.